Well, yesterday's video certainly caused a bit of a stir, that's for sure. I asked for comments, and comments is exactly what I got. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some excellent comments in it. In fact, Pritam and 2 others, excellent comments. Go and check your messages, get in touch with us, and we'll send you a little Hammers chat. I was going to say goodie, a little thank you. We'll send you a little something out. It's nothing grand, but thank you very much for joining in. There were far more than 3 excellent comments on there, by the way, but we'll continue doing this for the rest of the transfer window at least. There were some less complimentary comments, it has to be said. The general consensus is, I mean, there were people who were offended, no doubt about it. People were a little bit upset, actually. And it was very much in defence of Nick, sticking up for Nick at Claret and Booze. And I think the general consensus was that I had tried to discredit him, and I had dug him out with his story about Alex Scott. Now, all I would say with that is, I wasn't trying to discredit Nick's story. In fact, I didn't think it was Nick's story. I'd have to be a time traveller. Nick released his video on Friday morning. I discredited the story on Tuesday night. I had no way of knowing on Tuesday night that Nick was going to do this story. So it wasn't. It was a dig at the story. Also, by the way, there was also another story which I rubbished as well, which I don't think Nick had reported at all, and that was with Steidten, was with David Moyes and Mark Noble. It was actually the source of those stories, and the fact that I do think there's a bit of an agenda to get rid of David Moyes. I think just him being a defensive manager and making some mistakes has not been enough to get rid of him. So I now think there's a further push to try and get rid of him. But I wasn't having to go at Nick's story at all. I don't even consider it to be Nick's story. It was doing the rounds on Tuesday night. Nick came out of it on Friday. Simple as that. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think it's quite unedifying. I'm here to talk about West Ham stuff more than anything. But if you're upset, yeah, I guess I'm sort of sorry, but you know, you're sort of taking offence where sort of none was intended on something I've dealt with 3 days before anyway. What I do want to deal with today is a little bit of, it's another story that came out, and I don't necessarily believe the timescale of the story, but it's suggesting that Zakaria will be signing for us on Monday. Now, when I looked at it, I thought, okay, and it's come from Italian press. Maybe Juventus have leaked that to the Italian press. Maybe they want it to happen for Monday. But I started to get a little bit concerned, I think, with regard to pre-season and us getting players in. And I'm wondering if we're sort of hindering ourselves by not getting players in early. Now, I definitely remember last pre-season. I remember seeing a Gerd at Reading. I went to the Reading pre-season game, so he was definitely playing. I don't remember Skamaka being there in the early games. I certainly don't remember Paqueta being there. I guess I should have gone back and really checked what order we signed these players. But it felt to me like we were signing players late. Like we weren't as ready for pre-season as maybe some other clubs. And I don't know if that's still the case. And I just think, bearing in mind that a lot of the players that we signed seem to take a while to settle, why are we doing it again? I also think the appointment of Tin Steidten was just delayed. Now, I understand he probably had to do some gardening leave, but I'm sure some sort of agreement could have been arrived upon with Bayer Leverkusen, where Steidten would have started maybe even a month before. I don't feel we're lagging behind in terms of other clubs, because I'm going to have a look at what business other clubs have done already. But I feel in terms of us, and in terms of West Ham and giving us the best preparation for the season, it does feel like we're going into it with lesser players than we had last season for obvious bloody reasons, that's for sure. So I do think we need to get business wrapped up, and we do need to get business done very, very early. Not all the business, but some. What we don't need to do is to be midway through August, something like that. When's the transfer window shuts at the end of August, doesn't it? And to still be looking to bring players in. We're just at a disadvantage, particularly with those other clubs, who are going to have players that have hit the ground running. So let me do a little quick pit stop. And I just want to have a little look at what other clubs have signed. So just to put this in perspective for us. So at the moment, obviously Ogbonna's done another year deal. Okay, we signed more from Ireland. Has there really been any big players coming? I don't think so. Obviously, it looks like we're losing a player. It hasn't officially happened yet in terms of Declan Rice, but we are losing him. So let's just have a look. How bad are we? How far behind are we compared to other clubs? So Arsenal has signed Kai Havertz. It's pointless to talk about Declan. At the point where I record this, he hasn't signed yet. what is it? It's late Saturday night. Maybe they sign him Sunday. I don't know. Some people say he's an Ibiza. Some people say it's not. I don't know. He's done a Maxwell Cornet, maybe. So Arsenal have signed Kai Havertz. All right, so they've clearly done business. They've let go loads of players. I'm not going to discuss who clubs have let go. Aston Villa have brought in 2 players. They brought in Yuri Tillemans on a free. It doesn't matter he's on a free. Yuri Tillemans is still an established player. It doesn't matter whether he's on a free or he's cost 30 million. Yuri Tillemans, you would imagine, will play a lot of games for Aston Villa. Rico Richards, they've signed as well. West Brom on a free. Honestly, I couldn't speculate whether he's going to be featuring in the games or not. Bournemouth, Hamid Traore from Sassuolo for 20 million. Justin Cliver from Roma for 9.5. You'd have to say Bournemouth are on the way. You know, there's no doubt about it. I don't know how much they're intending on spending, but they've already spent 30 million on 2 players. So, you know, they've got started. They're certainly going to be starting pre-season with some new players. Brentford, Nathan Collins from Wolves, good player. I'm surprised. Well, maybe because they signed Dawson or whatever. Good player, Collins. So I think he'll do him some good. Romeo Beckham from Inter Miami. Funny name, isn't it? Not Romeo Beckham, Inter Miami. And, okay, Ethan Brierley from Rochdale. Don't know, maybe he's just one of those signings where, you know, sort of goes sign for the youth team. Mark Fleckham from Freiburg, 11 million. They've signed Ji-Soon Kim. And they've signed 2 players from Freiburg. Kevin Sade. I mean, it's a lot of players, right? Brentford has signed a lot of players. Even if we pretend, let's just assume for a moment Romeo Beckham and Brierley from Rochdale are not going to feature. They've still signed 3, possibly 4, sort of first team squad players. They're not mucking around. Brighton, they've been busy as well. João Pedro, he's fast. I think he's fast, him actually. Good player. Highly regarded Pedro, actually, from Watford. Mahmoud Dahoud from Borussia Dortmund, undisclosed. And Bart Vertbruggen from Anderlecht, 16.3 million. And James Milner on a free. Again, you've got to forget whether he's on a free. Is James Milner going to play? Yeah, he probably is. He's probably going to feature about as frequently as Danny Welbeck did, didn't he? They haven't brought him in. So they've brought players in. And I just wanted to look at it with an open mind. Have we been as bad? Are we as slow compared to other teams as we suspect we might be? Well, seems that way, right? What else have we got? We have got... do you know what? Do you know they've let go? Abdullah Simmer. Do you remember him? He's gone to Rangers on loan. Anyway, who have Burnley brought in? Jordan Bayer from Mönchengladbach. Obafemi from Swansea. Dara O'Shea from West Brom. Lawrence Vigarou, is that how we spell it? Say it? From Leyton Orient. Again, I don't know how many of these are going to be definite buys. I understand. They may well have bought James Trafford. What a goalkeeper he is, by the way. I think they're just waiting for the England under-21. That was magnificent. You know, what a campaign England under-21s had, by the way. I think they were just waiting for that campaign to be over before they signed him. 19 million, I believe, from Manchester City. Good goalkeeper. Really good goalkeeper. That's a lot of signings for Burnley. I mean, look, they've got to. The promoted clubs, they've got to do it. Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal. Diego Moreira from Benfica, good player. From Benfica, undisclosed. Christopher Nkunku, good player, wasn't he? From Leipzig. I mean, it's crikey. Kendry Payers from Independiente, 17 million. Alex Matos from Norwich. They are busy. They're always busy. Always busy, aren't they? My word, you want to see... Wow. I'm just, when I say wow, I'm reading. It's obviously, you probably gathered. It's just behind camera now. The list of players that they have released, honestly, it's too many to read. Well, it's not, but we'd be here all day. Crystal Palace, Jefferson Lerma on a free. Everton, nobody. Now, I think you can compare us to Everton. I think, but it would be an unfavourable one because Everton are deemed to be a sort of club that in a bit of a pickle, basically. Fulham, nobody. Liverpool, Alexis McAllister. Oh, wow. How am I meant to say that? Dominic Sazbulzai. Suzbozai. I've ruined it, and I've definitely ruined it. Luton, they've signed 2 players. Anderson, I'm not even going to try that other bloke's name. 2 players. Manchester City have signed someone called Spike Brits. And Kovacic from Chelsea, who I think's a really good player. Again, we keep saying it. Don't judge anyone on last season, right? Not at Chelsea, I mean. I don't mean generally. I think he's a really, really good player, Kovacic. They got a big loss there, haven't they? Because obviously Gundogan's left now. But, well, actually, it's a few outs. Actually, one of them we don't talk about. Manchester United, they've signed Mason Mount. Let a few go. Newcastle signed a Tonale. And someone called Minty. Nottingham Forest, they've signed Manny Norkit and Chris Woods. I can't decide actually. I don't know why I was surprised. I didn't actually know that. Sheffield United have signed nobody. Tottenham, Kulusevski doesn't really count. He was there, wasn't he? So James Maddison certainly counts. And somebody called Vicario from Empoli. West Ham have signed Sean Moore, as I said, from Cliftonville. Okay, you look at that, we're definitely behind. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it at all. And it's not, I don't want to be disrespectful to Sean Moore, but he's going to be one of those signings that goes into the academy or, you know, or plays for the under-23s or whatever it is. He's not going to go straight in and be a senior player, is he? Let's be fair. So actually, I think it looks like we're one of the worst. And that's not a great look. That's not a great look. And you don't have to believe in conspiracy theories. You don't have to believe in anything else. The stats there are tell you exactly that. And you could probably make excuses. In fact, I'll give you 2. I haven't given you not my excuses. The money for Declan Rice hasn't come in yet. And we were waiting on the director of football. But the director of football supposedly was meant to have a dossier with him. Maybe he forgot it. Maybe he left it on the plane. But he was supposed to have that stuff with him. It's not the end of the world, but I definitely think we need to get a move on.